Hello, fellow classmates. We are Team 4 OB Collaborators, and we're going to present to you the analysis of the movie The Intern, starring Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. Enjoy.
The Intern is a movie about an entrepreneurial woman that must make a decision to continue to run her own company or hire a CEO and save her marriage and family. A central theme in the feel-good, sophisticated comedy The Intern is whether one should let go of his or her passion or continue to hold on. CEO Jules Osteen built her charming online fashion startup called About the Fit into an about-to-burst e-commerce business in only 18 months. The rapid growth of the company has her investors yearning for a more seasoned CEO, so she must work with her peers to decide whether or not to give up control to satisfy the investors. This becomes yet another source of stress in trying to balance her work life with her personal life. This, combined with negative stereotypes attributed towards women in the workplace, has resulted in Jules questioning her ability to have it all as a career woman and a mom. Stereotypes are greatly exaggerated in the film. This purposefully draws attention to the boundaries created by society and touches upon breaking these stereotypical confines. The Intern demonstrates several organizational behavioral concepts through the stereotypes depicted in the film. The most notable concepts include stress and work-life balance, but also prevalent are gender roles, team composition, and Hofstede's masculine environment. Considering this premise, one can see all of these behavioral concepts manifested in the life of Jules. In addition, these concepts are further explained through Jules' coping mechanisms in dealing with her dilemmas and stress.
Ben Whitaker, a retiree bored in his retirement lifestyle, helps to renew Jules' confidence. This widower is just what Jules needs to keep her level with the many dilemmas and decisions she is confronted with in the film. Ben is hired as a senior intern to work directly for Jules, through an outreach program sponsored by her. Ben is calmly fervent to start working again, and patiently awaits his assignment. He is delighted to hear that he will be working for Jules, despite the office forewarning of how difficult she is to work with. Initially, Jules is frustrated to partake in her senior intern outreach program. She can't be bothered with Ben and finds him a bit too observant. Uncomfortably numb, she tries to have Ben reassigned, but quickly realizes her grave mistake and begs for him to continue working directly for her. Ben gives Jules great comfort to overcome conflicts, both in her personal life and her professional life. Call it wisdom, age, or experience. It works. The stereotype of this aged intern is touched on throughout the film as well. Towards the beginning of the film, senior citizens are portrayed as forgetful and out of date with the advancing technological times. However, the film also mentions the value of an aged intern. Cameron specifically emphasizes the plethora of experiences senior citizens have and how that can be beneficial for the company. Since they have seen what works and what a hindrance in the workplace is, they can provide valuable insight to the newly developed company About the Fit.
Ben's friends and co-workers are Jason and Davis. The sidekicks provide comedic relief as the combination of a baby boomer and millennial strikes an amusing chord. There is ample interaction to entertain both old and young without being overbearing. Ben fosters a fatherly bond with his co-workers, and he tries to teach the art of chivalry and relationship goals. He suggests actually conversing with girls rather than texting them. In addition, he shows Davis the art of dressing up for work by giving him one of his old ties. Ben's trademark in the film is his vintage handkerchief. It seems that even the eloquent Jules is unknowing of its purpose. It is interesting to see that small things such as the concept of a handkerchief can be lost in time. With that being said, Ben is a man of tradition and professionalism, and his old ways are a breath of fresh air in the modern workplace. It should be noted that while Ben has insight into Jules' professional dilemma, Jason and Davis are not aware of her predicament. Ben does not disclose any information regarding Jules to the boys due to respect for Jules and his role as her intern. The camaraderie grows throughout the film but becomes more revealing when the team is tasked with deleting an offensive email that Jules inadvertently sent to her mother. Nonetheless, the team implements a strategic plan to successfully discard the email. The email plot is one of the many comical scenes throughout the movie. The scene is induced by Jules' absolute need to delete an offensive email that she inadvertently sent to her mother. Ben and his team are on a mission to delete the email. In the movie, technology was not an option to retrieve the email. The team had to break into the mother's house, find the correct computer, unveil the right password, and delete the email. All the while, the alarm is sounding, the cops are within 5 minutes away, and the team is in need of potency to achieve their goal. Fortunately, the team proved successful and discarded the email before time ran out. Team composition is also a theme within the movie. The concept is originally demonstrated through the team cohesion that allowed the organization to be built in only 18 months. It is further developed through the dynamics of the more intimate team that the viewer grows with throughout the movie. It is easy to observe the diversity, the different types of communication styles, and various interactions that have a strong impact on the team's effectiveness in achieving their goals. Effectively, the team created a mental model on their way to the house. They were suddenly the Ocean Team from Ocean's 11, and each doled out their respective character. This refers to a level of common understanding among the team. Every member knows who is who and what role they play. In the Intern, every team member was aware of the task at hand and recognized their personal strengths to effectively conquer the task. Using the mental model, they generated a plan to foster their effectiveness. According to an article in Harvard Business Review, Building a Shared Mental Model, a successful mental model has 3 critical components. First, the mental model must provide an accurate reflection of your reality. Second, is that a realistic picture of the situation serves as the basis for a plan of action. Agreement is needed on goals and how to achieve them. And finally, the group needs to work together using their shared mental model to achieve its goals. As we learned in organizational behavior, team size, diversity, and task interdependence are essential to develop effective processes and communication. Ultimately, this effectiveness allowed the team to focus their synergies to develop strong potency and confidence as a unit.
Another concept highlighted in the film is the adverse effects of feminism on men. After the email mission, Jules takes the team for drinks, and during the bar scene, she contrasts how girls have become women, but males have digressed from men to boys in the same generation. She goes on to speculate that perhaps this distinction developed because girls were told they can be anything growing up, while boys were left by the wayside. According to a thesis statement by Wynne in Hofstede's 5 Cultural Dimensions, in masculinity-associated societies, women tend to split into 2 groups. 1, they stick to traditional female jobs and behavior, or 2, they break the barrier, spreading to fields that are traditionally male-dominated. Wynne goes on to say that group number one maintains traditional female gender roles, which require them to be modest and caring, like a teacher or a nurse. Our Jules falls into group number 2, a woman who is career-driven and fulfills her traditional male role of an entrepreneur who is breaking the barrier of the tech world and running her own company. The thesis goes on to point out that more often than not, when women take traditional male professions, they also adopt a masculine manner of conduct, being competitive, dominant, and self-reliant. Jules embodies the masculine characteristics in the bar scene by taking double shots, not knowing the names of her employees, and lecturing the boys on where they've gone off track on their own gender roles. We're used to seeing the movies portraying girls as cheerleaders while the boys are the sports heroes. In The Intern, they point out that the current generation of men no longer carry handkerchiefs or wear ties, and they now dress like boys. Throughout the movie, Jules tips the scales of feminism. She not only has equal rights, but has taken on traditional masculine role, leaving the young men in the film feeling a bit emasculated.
Throughout the movie, you meet Jules' husband, Matt. He is the overzealous house husband who prefers to be called a stay-at-home dad. The stereotype of the house husband is used to emphasize the traditional expectations of a mother and father, as well as the modern-day shift in gender roles. Women are becoming more powerful in the workforce, which is causing the responsibility of caring for one's home and child to fall more heavily on the father. Matt is referred to as the dad at his daughter's school because he is the only stay-at-home dad in a sea of moms. The opposition of the moms to this shift in gender roles is made clear when Jules drops off her daughter at school. The moms confront her with passive-aggressive remarks mentioning her lack of time to cook and how they don't see her often. This touches on the negative view of women in the workforce and how there is still a stigma attached to a working woman. Since the concept of a stay-at-home dad is rather new, society is reluctant to fully accept this reality. In the kitchen scene, the role of a stay-at-home dad is painted in a positive light. Matt is very attentive to his daughter's needs, and his hard work around the house is clearly shown. Matt is in charge of cooking, doing laundry, coordinating family events, and entertaining his daughter, all of which he manages remarkably well and is recognized by Ben. Further into the scene, Jules mentions how Matt gave up his career to become a committed parent and take care of the home. As a result, Jules was able to pursue her dreams and build her own company. Without this modern family dynamic, About the Fit would not be possible. This demonstrates the positive aspects of changing societal expectations and roles. Without women in the workforce, certain companies and ideas would not come to fruition. The commitment of a stay-at-home dad gives a mother the freedom to pursue a career, so there must be a shift in roles to avoid this loss of ideas.
Jules is great at running her clothing company About the Fit. She has great work ethic, but unfortunately lacks balance. And because she lacks this balance, her husband Matt has become what the other parents call the dad. He is the one who stays at home and makes sure their daughter and the house gets taken care of. Jules knows she lacks work and life balance and becomes so stressed out that without even knowing it, she develops a role overload. This puts a lot of strain on Jules to the point where she even thinks about getting someone to basically take her job and become CEO. Thankfully, Ben helps her through it all, and Jules remains doing what she loves, and her whole life puzzle starts fitting in the missing pieces. In the end, Jules realizes the perfect CEO is herself. She was the one who developed About the Fit, thus must continue its growth and progression herself. Ben, who has turned out to be a perfect addition to the company, continues to work with Jules and be a great inspiration and mentor to the young prospering employees of the company. The film ends on a very positive note, leaving a feeling of everything's going to be alright to the viewers. Indeed, the film The Intern was a great movie, a feel-good movie at that addressed several work and life conflicts that appear in one's daily life. Here are some discussion questions to help you guys gain further insight on the film and our presentation. First, what is your opinion on the stay-at-home dad and the working mom? Do you think as time progresses and the career world advances, these non-traditional gender roles will become more popular, or will it continue to be considered out of the norm? Secondly, in the film, Ben is a baby boomer, thus more old-fashioned with his thinking, working, and mannerisms. With Ben having more life experience, he teaches the boys chivalry, how to talk and treat women, and overall be more professional and gentlemanlike. Why do you think over time males have lost some of the mannerisms that were once instilled in them? What influences do you think have shaped men or boys to be the way they are today? And lastly, Jules has some trouble balancing her work life and family life. In today's society, a lot of people get caught up in their career and lose themselves and their relationships with their family or friends. What are some methods a person who focuses more on work could do to better balance their work and other aspects of life?